Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do kind of a mid-year goals check-in and reading stats. So I like doing the mid-year because it makes me at least get all my stats at least in line for mid-year, so I don't have to do it all at the end of the year. So I spent a lot of time this morning getting those together. So I'm gonna kind of go through those. So but I want to run through my goals first. So as I said, I have it in my book journal, and I have some goals, and I'm not doing all that well on a lot of them. So I just have 8 main goals here, and then I have 1 or 2 other things I'll talk about. So for my reading goals for 2021, my Goodreads goal was set at 52 books. I always set it at 52 because I want to at least read a book a week. That's just how I put that number down the last, 5 years or whatever. So I already completed that goal. I think I finished it in May. So I am definitely already beyond that. So which is good. So that one I did complete, and again, I don't move my goal because I don't worry about that. If I've hit over 52 books by the end of June, then that's fine. It just means whatever else is extra, that was my goal. So anyway, so yay, I get a little check mark. Anyway, so the second goal is always one I put on every year, which is to read at least 50 pages a day 50 pages a day on average every month. So once in a while I'll have a month where I'm really low, which is usually April for some reason. This year I made it, but I did every month make it at least over 50 pages a day on average for the month, because again, there are days where I don't read and there's days I read a lot. So as long as I have my average of over 50 pages a day when I get to the end of the month, I feel pretty accomplished. So far this year, all 6 months I got over it. Some of them I got over, one of the months I got over 150, which is really high for me. Most of mine are between 100 and 150, but that's where I want to be. But again, I put a low threshold because if I get busy with other things, I want to make sure at least I'm still doing the 50 pages per day on average. I don't know if that makes sense. It's my little thing. Goal number 3 is to cull my books in June and December. I did do a slight cull. I didn't do as much as I maybe could have, mostly because most of my used bookstores are still not taking books yet. So I still have a whole stack from the last year from doing my culls in June and December. So I usually always do it twice a year at least. But this June I had to do it because I had so many books from May and June that I had to cull to get space on my shelves, which I'm going to go buy another bookshelf in another week or two to help with that. But I did cull, again, it was not as maybe a major cull, but I did get rid of quite a few series that I've decided to abandon, that I've read them and I've decided not to keep the copies. So I've gotten rid of quite a few things, but not as much as maybe normal. But I still did it, so I still get to check that one off. My 4th goal was to limit my library use. I was only supposed to have 5 or less books out from the library at one time. And I was only supposed to have 5 books on the hold list. So I did pretty well with this the first couple months of the year. And then I didn't. I would say after March or so, I for sure had over 10, sometimes higher than that, holds that I was waiting for books. And I had a lot of books that are like new books, so I was waiting for them to come out. So I didn't really want to count them because they were coming out in a couple months, and they were just holding my spot, Most of those books have come through. I only have 2 more that are technically from that. But yeah, I haven't held to the 5. I think only once in a great while do I hit the 5 or below holds. And I have definitely, my library use goes up and down, where like just last week, which is technically not mid-year, so it was after that I pulled out 7 more books. So normally I don't pull out quite that many, but it has been known to happen. So I've had up to 10 or 12 books, out at one time. I don't read them all because I don't have enough time for everything. So I'm still working on this stat. This is not one I'm not doing as well as I'd like. Then number 5 is read more series books. I'm not doing as well on this. I am tracking it in this so that I can see that I'm reading or not reading my series. And I'm noticing that I do tend to start series, and I only have finished a few this year. I finished 3 so far. No, 4. 4. I mean, I've caught up, or you know, I'm done. So not as many as I'd like. So I need to work on that. I own a lot of series. I have started a lot of series. I'm in the middle of a lot of series, and I just need to, and I just want to, there's so many books I still want to read. So I need to work more on my series books. So I'm not sure that's not, I wouldn't say it was a fail, but it's not as much as I'd like. And number 6 is to read big books. And again, I had a series of videos of all the big books on my TBR. I have only read a few of those since then. I seem to be avoiding them. So I'm hoping if I can get myself in the last 6 months to at least read a few, that's good. And maybe next year I have to be more proactive and actually put one big book on my TBR every month to try to get through. I have so many big books. I mean, so many. I really could read just big books and I'd fill up my year. So the point is I need to work more on that. Number 7 is 5-star prediction. Books and videos. Well, I did a video. I haven't read any of the books. I started 2. I haven't finished those. And then I had 3 others I haven't tried yet. So this is still one I'm in the process of. I'm hoping by the end of the year I'll have those done. I'm hoping to be done earlier than that, but I'm not doing so hot. I think as soon as I say 5-star prediction, I put it aside. I'm not sure. Still working on that one, so that one's pretty much a fail so far. And then 8 is book buying or read my own dang books, which I'm not doing so good at. I mean, I am percentage-wise, I'll show you that, but I need to do better. I tried to say to to limit my pre-orders, which I have done pretty well. I still buy a lot of books in series and new books, new fantasy books. I'm just not getting to them after I buy them, not all of them. So I need to do that. And I never put myself on a book buying ban. That is the first thing that will set me off to just go on a buying spree. So I do not do that. So that's fine. I haven't done that. And then I've tried to buy more locally at Powell's or Jan's paperbacks, where I buy those. I need to do a little bit better on this. I have bought a lot of books from Powell's this year. I've bought a lot of used online from like eBay and Marketplace, but I need to do a little bit more buying locally. So I'm going to work on that. So those are my reading goals. So I'm, half of them I'm doing pretty good on. So far this year, I've only have 10 5-star reads, which is really low compared to, I think, last year. So I think I'm being a little bit more strict with myself on what I pick, what I decide is a 5-star book. So that could be, so it's good or bad. I don't know. I feel this year's been a really weird reading year. I just have not found as many things to fall in love with. There's definitely some books that stand out, of course, and stuff, but it's just, I don't know. It's kind of a weird reading year for me. And then I do have a list of classics. I have a video on this where I had 12 classics I'd like to read in the year. I have only read 2. So I'm not doing very good with this. I think I read a lot of classics, which I'll talk about in my stats here in a second, but I'm just not picking up the ones I put on lists. Like every time I make a list of classics I want to read, I do not touch this list very much. The only ones on this list I've read is Barchester Towers and The Count of Monte Cristo, and I read those in I finished those both in March. So it's kind of weird that that's it, and then I haven't touched any of these. I was supposed to try to read Villette, Jezebel's Daughter, Oliver Twist, Middlemarch, The Mysteries of Udolpho, which I read a different book instead. Anyway, the Macchiacca Sisters, which I've tried 3 times to get on my TBR, The Master and the Margarita, Les Miserables, the Vicomte de Broglie, which I have started, and I'm like 160 pages in. I need to get back and finish that. And then The Betrothed. So I still have 10 books on this. I don't know how many of these. Some of these I'll get done in Victober. A few of these I definitely want to still get to this year, but we'll see when we get to the end of the year how we're doing on that. So I think that is it for that. So let's just run through the stats really quick, just for the heck of it. So I've read 70 books in the first 6 months. 49 of those, or 70% of them, were new to me physical books. 5 were ebooks again, these are new to me, so that was like 7%. And then 7 audiobooks, that was like 10%. And then 9 books I read that reread. So my rereads are kind of low than normal. I think it's a weird reading year. I don't know why. It just seems like it's a low number. It's only 9. I feel like I've done a lot more. I should have read or reread a lot more, but I haven't really yet. So again, I'm a big rereader, so it's kind of weird when my number seems that low. But 12 or almost 13% is reread. I think it's usually higher. It just seems kind of low so far. We'll see what happens at the end of the year. I've read 10 manga or graphic novels. DNFs. I had DNF'd 15 books. 5 of them though I put back onto my TBR, so I will try them at a different time. It wasn't the right time, or I want to give them at least one more shot, and just not right now. So that number is not super high for me. It probably could be higher. There's probably a couple more books I could probably soft DNF, but I'm not sure yet. So how many of the physical books, so I read 49 physical books, how many of those came from my shelves and how many came from the library? 37 of those I own, so that's 75.5% came from my shelves, and then 12% came from the library, or 12 books came from the library, so that was 24.5%. So that's a little higher than I want to be. I wanted to be below 20% from my library, but as I said, I use my library a lot. So maybe not as good as I'd like it to be. I have bought, this is a horrible stat. I bought 137 books so far this year. I really am trying to hold myself back. I don't know if you could explain how, like when you try to hold, it just doesn't work all the time. Well, anyway, the cost on average for the 6 months is $7.02 per book. So again, a lot of those I got, I used money from my birthday and from Christmas and stuff. So that helped with dropping that cost. But I do buy a lot of books that are maybe not full price, but they're still a pretty good price. I haven't, because there's no library book sales yet. And I've only been to the library book sale, the library charity store once, I think this year. Yeah, that number is really high. So again, that's something I need to work on. Of those books that I brought into my house, I've read 16 of them, and I've started 4, and 1 was a DNF. So average wise, it's not, I mean, a lot of them I haven't touched. So I need to work on that. Number of pages read in the 6 months is 23,222 pages. On average per day is 129 pages per day. So that is a really good average. As I said, my low threshold is 50, but anything over that is great, and over 100 is always welcome. So 129 pages per day on average for 6 months is pretty dang good for me. Pages per book on average of the books I read is about 318 pages, so that's pretty good. I want to be above 300 on average. I did read The Count of Monte Cristo, which really helped that average, but everything else I've been reading is usually between 300 and 400 pages. So, but I do read a lot of short things as well, so that's probably why. For authors, I read 24, and again, this is a stat for the for all the books I read. 24 were male, so 34.3%. 42 were female for 60%, and then my combo stat for multiple authors or unknown or anonymous is 4, which is 5.7%. Most of those are the Kate Daniels books because they're written by a male and female combo. I've read 13 translated books for 18.5% of my reading. That's good, but I would really like a little bit higher. POC authors, I've read 17 books, which is 24.3%. So that's good. I want to be 25 and above. So I'm a little bit low, but I'm working on it. So I'm trying to get better about that. Let's see here. The star ratings I've had, as I said, 10 5-star reads for 16% of my reading, 30 4-star reads for 48.4% of my reading, which is pretty typical. 3 stars, I have 21 books for that, for 33.9%. And I've only have the 1 2-star read, so that's like 1.6%. So, but I've DNF'd, as I said, I've DNF'd 15 books. So a lot of books that would have been 1 or 2, I've DNF'd. So, or stopped reading. So, you know, or of some sort. So I don't usually get to the end of the books. There's only a few that I finished that actually come out to have a 1 or a 2. So there was one and this one. Anyway, so that's actually pretty good. As I said, 4 stars are what I want. I want 4 or 5 stars, and I get a lot of 4s, but you know, there are a lot of 3s in there too, so oh well. But almost half my reading is at least a 4, so that's good. Well, over 50%, so almost 60%, over 60% is over a 4-star, so that's pretty good for me. So my top 5 genres I've read is I've read 8 memoirs for 11.4%. I read 7 books of 3 different genres of paranormal romance, historical romance, and classics. So that's all 10%, each of 10% of my reading, which is pretty good. I like that. And then urban fantasies came in with 6 entries, and again, that was 8.5% of my reading, and like 3 of those are the Kate Daniels series and the rest are other ones. But that is it. That is all my stats that I have right now for mid-year. So I'm looking pretty good on a lot of the numbers. A lot of them I need to work on. A lot of my goals are kind of partially done, and some of them I have not done very good at all. Because again, look, I had 7 classics on here, but only 2 of them were on my classics list. The other ones I read, and then not even counting, I didn't count modern classics because it was a lower number, so it's slightly different. So classics to me is before 1900. Anyway, just in case you want to know that. Anyway, that is it. If there are any stats that you think I should add to this for the end of the year, let me know. Are you guys keeping stats? What are your favorite stats, and what do you want to hear about? Let me know, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.